Okay, this worksheet should be done on your own, and then come back and check this answer key to make sure you did it right. And the key thing when you do this is that you keep track of the memory locations as each problem happens. So you do the declarations and initializations have already been taken care of with these lines, and they've been demonstrated in the storage locations. Then you go to line 13 and do that and make the assignment. So you're going to change, for instance, you're going to change num1 from 6 to whatever this ends up being. And then the key things here that you have to make sure you remember is that if a line of code produces an error message, then add line comment symbols to it and move on to the next line of code. So don't let it affect what you do in the storage locations. So let's just pretend that line 14 has an error. Then what you would do is you put your line comments, and then you would skip it and then go on to the next line. So do that and then come back and take this or check the answers here. So here we go. So we have num1 is assigned num2 times num1. So num2 is 8, and then num1 is 6. And the key thing here is don't look at this right now as being an int. Just look at this. And this is an int times an int, which is an int, so it's 48. And now you're taking 48 and you're trying to store it in an int, which works. So this is 48. And remember that a decimal or a double cannot fit into an int, but an int can fit into a decimal or a double. And so then you have num1, which is now 48. So the variable call always takes the current value and divided or modulus num3. And so that's 7. And so 48 divided by 7. Notice we're not looking at num2. We're just going 48 divided by 7 is 6, remainder 6. So the remainder is 6. And so 6 is going to be stored in num2, which works because they're an int. It's both ints. And then, so we did that and that. Now we have 27 divided by num2. Num2 is now 6. And this is an int divided by an int. So it's 27 divided by 6. Do the calculator to drop the decimal. So 4. So 4 is going to be stored in an int, which works. So this is now, num3 is now 4. And then we go to num2 is assigned num1 plus num5. Now num1 is 48 and num5 is 5.0. So an int plus a double is a double. So it's not 53, it's 53.0. And then we're taking this, which is a double, and we're trying to store it in an num2, which is an int. Now a double is larger than an int, so it's not going to fit. So this is an error. Okay, and I'm not going to do anything with this. Let's just move on and go. Num4 is now assigned num1, which is currently 48, and divided by num5, which is 5.0. So because you have an int divided by a double, then your result should be a double. And so we take 48 divided by 5.0, which is going to go in 9 times, so 9.6 if you do it on the calculator. And so 9.6 is a double and is trying to be stored in a double. That works, and so we have 9.6 in num4 now. The next one, we take we got to do the parentheses first. So num2, which is 6, and num3, which is 4, makes 10. And then that it's going to be divided into 48, which is what num1 currently is. And so 48 divided by 10, those are two ints, so therefore the answer has to be an int. So the calculator will come up with 4.8, but you drop the decimal, and so it's just going to be an int, which is 4. Now the 4 is going to be stored in num5. Num5 is a double. So an int can fit inside to a double, but it's going to be converted to a double. So it's not a 4, it's not being stored as a 4, it's being stored as 4.0. Now we have num2 is assigned num3, which is 4, plus num5, which is now 4.0. Now those two added together is not 8, it's 8.0 because one of them is a double, so the result has to be a double. Okay, so we're taking this double and we're going to try to store it in num2, but that's an int. A double is larger than an int, so it won't fit. So we're going to get an error message. So we skip that. Now we have num2, which is 6, and we're going to divide it by num3. And so 6 divided by 4, according to Java Math, is just 1, because it has to be an int. And the 1 is going to be stored. It's an int. It's being stored in a double, so it has to be converted from a 1 to a 1.0. Okay, so that is how it works.